Senator Kamala Harris got a lot of attention on social media after her questions to Barr. It started with her asking Barr a yes or no question. And just as you saw in the videos we just showed you, he stumbled on this too, a yes or no question.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it.
Yeah.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest. I mean, there have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation, but
Perhaps they've suggested,
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
hinted,
I don't know.
inferred. You don't know.
Okay, she got him. I mean, that was great. I mean, she got him so bad that she, of course, realized that she's of course, a prosecutor. So she got up like this, like,
Right,
okay, hold up now. I didn't know he was gonna be this bad, right?
Hovering over the prey.
Yeah. So then Cory Booker, who's running for president against Kamala Harris,
Right next
is
to
in
her.
the background going like, oh man, she got him.
He's like trying to hold in a smile the whole time, like, dang, she's good.
Yeah, so again, it doesn't matter if you're left wing in the middle or right wing. You saw what just happened there.
Right.
Clearly Trump went and told him, yeah, go investigate my political enemies and lock them up. I mean, was that a suggestion? I don't know if I'm struggling with the word suggest.
Right. Back to like, we should like have a running list of like examples of how maybe he shouldn't hold down any job.
Yes.
So this is number 2 for the day. I'm grappling with the word suggest. What?
You remember how much the Republicans were like, can you believe that Bill Clinton questioned what the word is? Right? Now they're like, well, of course, we're all grappling with the word suggest.
What she meant by suggest.
Right? We're grappling with it, but the best part is not the grapple. The best part is like the confused stutter for so long. Like, well, what? I mean, he almost looked like Herman Cain there. Libya. Libya.
I love Libya.
All right, we've got more with Senator Harris because here she actually gets Barr to admit he essentially did no work of his own before deciding there was no obstruction of justice.
In reaching your conclusion, did you personally review all of the underlying evidence?
No, we took and accepted. We accepted
Mr. Rosenstein?
No, we accepted the statements in the report as the factual record.
You did not question or look at the underlying evidence that supports the conclusions in the report?
No.
Did Mr. Rosenstein review the evidence that underlines and supports the conclusions in the report, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Did anyone in your executive office review the evidence supporting the report?
No.
No. Yet you represented to the American public that the evidence was not, quote, sufficient to support an obstruction of justice.
Yeah, you know, this one is not as good a gotcha, to be honest, in my opinion, because she's saying, okay, you didn't review the evidence, and now he's the Attorney General, and he concluded that he should not be charged with obstruction of justice. So I get it. It's fair to say, hey, you should have looked at the underlying evidence, not just looked at the Mueller report. What Barr is saying is, even if all the things that Mueller said are true, I still would have cleared Trump. And by the way, if he looked at the underlying evidence, he still would have cleared Trump because he wrote a memo saying, I can't wait to clear Trump. That's why he became Attorney General, right? So, but still, like, I get what Barr is saying in this case. Even if everything that Mueller says about the 10 different things that Donald Trump did to obstruct justice are true, I still don't think it's enough evidence to obstruct him. Now, of course, I don't agree with that, but that's his claim and why he didn't bother looking into the underlying evidence.
The more, and you guys are doing a great job of this, but I think the more just all of these, mishaps and examples of incompetency and obvious forms of corruption are just revealed to the public, that I think is going to be the staying point out of this whole mess, out of this whole Russia potential collusion, obstruction of justice. I think that just has to be part of a campaign against Trump and exposing all the horrible, horrible things that Trump has done to working class people.
There's more of that interaction with Senator Harris.
As the Attorney General of the United States, you run the United States Department of Justice. If in any U.S. attorney's office around the country, the head of that office, when being asked to make a critical decision about, in this case, the person who holds the highest office in the land, and whether or not that person committed a crime, would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney. He's the one who presents the report.
But it was you who made the charging decision, sir. You made the decision not to charge the president.
No, in a Pross memo and in a declination memo.
You said it was your baby. What did you mean by that?
It was my baby to decide whether or not to disclose it to the public.
See, there she connects the second dot, and now it's a lot better case. Still, if I'm looking at it from a like keeping it real lens rather than a legal lens, we know what happened, and we know that he was never going to charge Trump, no matter what the evidence said. But what Kamala Harris clearly did to him again, well, that's why he went BB, is that she said, now, if you're the person who gets to decide whether he's charged or not, and that is what Barr claimed in his original letter. Hey, he didn't give it to Congress. That's not true. He did give it to Congress. He gave the discretion to me, and I'm going to decide not to charge Trump on obstruction, even though Mueller says there's 10 cases where he obstructed justice. So then she says, well, if you made it, not Mueller, you made the decision not to charge Donald Trump, did you look at the underlying evidence? No, I didn't. Don't you know, if anybody has a decision under you, a U.S. attorney, and they have the capability to charge someone, would you ask them if they looked at the underlying evidence? Yes. So why didn't you do likewise? And we all know the answer, because he was going to clear Trump no matter what. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.